It's very important for us to talk about the work that we're doing right across our sites, 22 different countries, about reducing the amount of energy that we use in our processes, about improving the efficiency of those processes that are making products that we rely upon absolutely every day in society. What we're seeing here is a group of some very, very bright people coming together and talking about some of the fantastic work that they're doing across each of the sites. And that's sort of, they're sparking off one another. There's a real passion in the room to actually see INEOS being a part of the solution to the problems that we are seeing in terms of emissions of carbon dioxide, to reuse of plastics and recycling of plastics so that they don't end up in the sea.
It's very important, particularly for a business like INEOS that doesn't have a very sort of centralised structure, so it's quite devolved. So there's a lot of information out there, a lot of very good knowledge that the sites will have about energy and resource efficiency opportunities, ways of reducing emissions that other sites perhaps aren't aware of. So it's an opportunity to disseminate that information and learn from each other. The circular economy is not an entirely novel idea. It has kind of roots that goes back a few decades. It's kind of connected to biomimicry, industrial symbiosis, cradle-to-cradle design, all these kind of philosophies. The basic idea is that you keep resources in circulation for as long as possible. So that means designing products and applications so they can be reused and shared and repaired so they don't become rapidly obsolescent. And then at the end of the application's life, you recover the resources to be used in new applications. So if it's a technical resource, you recycle it. If it's a biological resource, you compost it. So there's a kind of technosphere and a biosphere side of the circle. And by doing this, you decouple production and utility from finite resources. So we can go on producing and benefiting from that indefinitely without having to worry about running out. And by eliminating waste, because there's no waste in the model, you reduce all the negative environmental externalities associated with that, like energy use, emissions, and plastic litter in the ocean and so on.
25 years ago, when I started as a chemical engineer, I had this big map in my office, which was about oil and gas going to refinery, creating naphtha going to steam cracker, and this was very linear actually. This was from left to right, and the world is changing. There are disruptions in the world, and this is thought-provoking. So something is changing. The question is, so how circular the economy will be? There is a strong political push to go that way. What does that mean for society? What does that mean for the chemical industry? What does that mean for INEOS? I'm a strong believer in the value of petrochemicals and chemical products for society. Petrochemicals and chemicals have been running for 200 years, so there is a wind of change happening. So when is this changing? And we need to recognize that point of change so that we can invest at the right moment and invest into the right technology.
I was invited by Greet van Eetvelde to provide a perspective on circularity and life cycle thinking. For a company like INEOS, with a huge scope of activities, a very large portfolio of products, global reach, and possible effect on millions of customers worldwide, it's really important that when they engage into their sustainability journey, they do it well. Therefore, there's a huge responsibility for companies like INEOS to think about their business model, and if they want to stay leaders, to try and think out of the box. They can no longer think of their business as the oil industry used to do 20 or 30 years ago, where basically you extract oil and you manufacture polymers and fuels, and then you burn them, and that's it. This linear model no longer works. So it's critical for them to engage into circularity, find new ways, disruptive technologies that will allow them to sustain their business in a way that can be supported by our generation and future generations.
Face-to-face meetings like our annual meeting really encourage people to talk to each other, to learn from each other, and perhaps to transfer some of the solutions, to to iterate some of the solutions at other sites. So it really brings value, and that value is what INEOS is all about.